You're listening to the Love Your Neighbor podcast.
I want to welcome you to the Links podcast, Stacy Jones. For those of you that are joining us, welcome. And I'm just thrilled to get to know you a little bit more. I had the privilege of getting to know your husband a little bit, but for those people in Brandon that maybe don't know you, they're new to the area and don't know you. I'm looking forward to hearing more about your story. You said Minnesota.
Yes.
So welcome. Let's start there.
Oh, yes. I was a little girl. No, I grew up in central Minnesota. I grew up on a very, very small farm next to a very, very small town. So I'm the epitome of a small town farm kid. Mm-hmm. And then I went to college in Marshall. I went to Southwest Minnesota State. And so I kept working my way down Highway 23. And then as part of my degree, so when I was at Southwest, I was double majoring in speech communications, radio, TV, because I wanted to go into broadcasting. And then I was also majoring in political science. As part of my radio, TV degree, I had to have an internship. So I applied to TV stations all around Marshall and got an internship. I was selected to be the summer intern for Kello TV. So that's how I migrated down to Sioux Falls. I moved here. I didn't know a soul. I didn't have any friends or family. I was 21 years old, moving to a new city all by myself. I look back and think, wow, that was actually pretty brave. At the time, I didn't think much about it. But yeah, I did that. And then and started working at Kello. That's kind of where my career started here in South Dakota.
Yeah. Well, you're being from a farm and a small town. You've probably never met a stranger. You fit right in. That is South Dakota. Yeah. That's our culture. Yeah. So you were a perfect fit.
Yeah, it felt very much at home. And I've loved being here ever since. We were joking when we first started, like I moved south. And so I'm the southerner from my family that moved south to Sioux Falls. But the people are a big reason I've stayed. It's very welcoming. And I've lived here longer than I lived in Minnesota. So I'm more South Dakota now, I guess, if you want to look at it that way.
Well, you're like the face and the voice now of like South Dakota Public. Like you were doing this football. I was very closely watching the football championships, and you were all over that. Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah,
so.
I have had a lot of fun with that. I got asked by the team at South Dakota Public Broadcasting to come back and help out with some of the state tournaments. And, old dog, do you still have it? And it's, because I was a sports reporter for a long time, but that was many, many moons ago. It was about 20-year gap. Okay. And to be back on the sidelines was a lot of fun. I'm, a little more tired at the end than I used to be, but it has been a lot of fun. And the crew with public broadcasting is just tremendous.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's cool. Is that something you're going to continue to do, or is that just was that a one-time gig, or are you going to continue to be doing that?
I'll continue to do it when it works with my schedule. Okay. That's, having a busy kids and a full-time job. It's really just what works within my schedule, and they're really flexible with me. So I really enjoy doing it. So I hope to keep continuing to do it if I can make it work.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Awesome, Stacy. Well, we're going to talk about your professional life, but I wanted to just kind of dig in a little bit more for those that don't know your family. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about your family, and you live in Brandon.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, when I met my husband, he was already living in Brandon. He was a Brandon transplant. He had moved down from Brookings after college and had a couple of different jobs and landed himself in Brandon. So that's how I got introduced to the Brandon community, because I was obviously coming to see him on a regular basis, and we just stayed after that. I just love the Brandon community. But so my husband Dave and I have been married for 20 years, and we have 2 teenagers. I have a 17-year-old son and a daughter who turns 16 in just a few days. So I'll have a 16 and a 17-year-old. The 17-year-old is a senior, and the 16-year-old is a sophomore. They're both at Brandon Valley High School. Very active in the band. They're a couple of the percussionists that are in that competitive percussion ensemble that travel to Ohio. They do marching band, concert band. So that's kind of my full-time side gig, is helping out with anything with Brandon Valley Band.
Awesome. Were you a musician? I know Dave was. Yeah. Were you a musician too?
I was a very, very bad flute player.
Okay.
So I really struggled with band, but I was very active in chorus. So I used to be, in our high school choir, and I did a lot of singing when I was in school. But my family is pretty musically inclined. So my dad was in a military band. He was in a military band for almost 30 years as a tuba player. So there is not a march that I have not heard more than once. But I will tell you, I grew up going to military band concerts, and they are amazing. They're absolutely amazing. Yeah. So I come from a musical background, and Dave does as well. So it's easy for us to embrace it because we can really see the value that it brings, especially our kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what an incredible program. I know you've had the privilege of being a part of it for a long time, but it's really it's very special. Talk about the trip that you guys took out to Ohio. This would have been last
April
for the. Tell us a little bit about it, because I've heard that it was you guys kind of stole the show a little bit.
Yeah, we kind of came out of nowhere. We're this group from South Dakota, and we're competing against groups from all over the country, a lot of bigger communities. There are some schools that, have thousands and thousands of kids in just one, school compared to Brandon Valley that we were up against. And it was an amazing trip. It was for WGI Championships, which is, it stands for Winter Guard International. So they have a guard competition a couple weekends prior, and then they have the percussion competition. And it goes on for 3 days. And there's groups, again, that come from all over the country, different classes of groups. So there's like the world class, which is like the biggest groups, the biggest communities. And then a lot of those groups have been around a little bit longer than we are. And we've been promoted to open class. So you get promoted based more on your skill set, not necessarily the size of your school or the size of your group. So if you're performing music and drill and different skills at a certain level, that's where you get placed in your class. So we went out there and competed, and we were just hoping to make it to the next day and we made it to finals, open class finals, which was amazing. And most of the time, by the time you get to finals, you're kind of going to finish where you come in at or pretty close, right? Yeah. And Brandon Valley jumped 3 spots in finals, and that was almost unheard of, I was told by a few people. So awesome. Yeah, we kind of surprised a few folks, and everybody was crying. It was amazing. Kids were crying, parents were crying, directors crying. It was awesome.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I heard too, and you can help me out with this, but I heard like the people at the hotel and the staff there just loved our kids in the Lynx way, right. And just it's more than just a slogan. I mean, they embodied that. Talk about that and just kind of the impact the kids had even off of the competition.
Oh, yeah. And that was what was truly remarkable, is that we got emails back from different people that we had connected with, including one from the general manager of the hotel that we stayed at. And he said, I see lots of groups. He goes, I will never forget your group. The kids were so polite. They picked up after themselves. They pushed in their chairs. I mean, just well-handled kids, very respectful kids. They were... we said on our way to Dayton, the director told the kids, this is a business trip. This is not a vacation, So the kids handled it that way, and were great. And I even shared that email from the hotel with our superintendent and, other administration. I'm like, these are your kids, and they're representing Brandon Valley very well.
Yeah, it's so much. I've found, in life, so much what you do, where you go is less important than how you make people feel when you're there, and how do you show up. Skills, obviously, everybody's skilled. Everybody has different talents, but how you treat people and how you make people feel is really a huge piece. And I think I'm really proud of the Brandon Valley School District for how they've made that part of the culture and the language. I watch it, at basketball games. I watch it at football games. I see it in the staff, the teachers, the administrators, and the parents. Really, really, really proud to call myself a Lynx in those areas. So let's talk a little bit about you're involved now. Talk to us a little bit about what you do now and kind of how you engage with the school district and the community at your current gig.
Yeah.
Full-time gig.
I know, my full-time gig. It's kind of life comes full circle in some ways. But so last April, probably about a week or so before we went to Dayton, Ohio, I took a new position as CEO of the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Sioux Empire. And the Boys and Girls Club serves Sioux Falls, Harrisburg, and Brandon. So we provide after-school care at all the Brandon elementary schools, also serve the Brandon Intermediate School, Brandon Valley Intermediate School, and provide summer care as well. So there are hundreds of kids that we serve in the Brandon community every day. And it's great to be part of an organization that is helping families. It's helping these kids. And it's not just, after-school daycare. I mean, there's programming that's involved every single day, and a lot of structure with the kids so they can still have fun, but learn a little bit. The summer programming is amazing. That there's so much that the kids get to do all summer long, and it's just a great organization, and it's kind of unique because my kids were in that after school program when they were younger,
right.
and now here I get to lead it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's our greatest resource is our people. And I was an elementary school teacher. That was my undergrad degree, and just the importance of a safe and fun place for kids throughout the day where they're learning. But it's a little bit different after school. I mean, you got to kind of let them be kids a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, it's meant to be fun. It's meant to be fun, but they do get some structured programming because even kids that want to have fun and relax, they still need some structure. And
sure.
And it's great that we can provide that for them. And we have other facilities in Sioux Falls. We have early learning academies where we have basically 4 or 5 week old babies all the way up to kids getting ready to go to school. We do the similar concept down in Harrisburg as well with after school and summer care. So it's been a great organization to be a part of.
Yeah. Give us a little bit of idea of we're familiar. We get familiar with the school district and the real estate. It's home buying, but what's the job market like in terms of staffing? This is an opportunity for you to talk to a lot of people that are listening. What's a career like in your world? What are the opportunities for someone that would want to start working for Boys and Girls Club? I mean, what is that like? What is that workforce like?
It's an amazing workforce. Let me tell you that. Yeah. First of all, the people that work in this industry are truly amazing. I am impressed with them every single day. They love what they do. They love what they're not doing it to be millionaires. They are doing it because they love kids and impacting kids and guiding kids. And we really try to make sure that those are the types of individuals that we do hire. But we've got great staff from the Brandon community. We've got several of them that work in our school program there. One of my directors is from Valley Springs, so we've got a lot of support from the Brandon community and very good employees. But if anyone's looking, obviously the summer is a very busy time for us, and we're usually adding staff in the summer to take care of all these kids. I think last summer we had over 700 kids on our summer program, including, the other communities as well. That wasn't just the Brandon Valley community, but there's a lot of kids that we take care of all summer long. So we definitely need additional staff to do that.
At what age are you able to hire?
16 for that programming.
Okay.
At our early learning academies, we can have as young as 14, but for the after school and the summer programming, it needs to be 16.
So there might be some parents, grandparents that are listening to this and say,
Yes. And I would say if your child is at all interested in being a teacher or working with kids or just, really wants a good job for the summer. I mean, we don't work weekends. They don't have to work weekends. So, parents can still, their kids can get a job, but yet they can also still do some fun things on the weekends as well.
Yeah. And I mean, having worked in, elementary school and I've taught, been in children's ministry for, over 15 years now, that kids really relate to kids that are just a little bit older than them.
Yeah.
Those elementary kids really relate well to middle school and early high school kids. And, the upper elementary really relate well to high school kids. And a lot of those seeds of development are planted through peers and those interactions. You can not only have a good job, a lot of fun. I mean, you can really make a difference.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you look at how, the Future Links nights have been going in Brandon, and just to see those kids and how they look up to, kids that are actually, not that much older than them, but.
No. And I agree. And I think that's what's been so great is they can relate to a lot of our staff members that are a little bit older than them. And, we have some, adult staff as well, obviously, but to be able to be mentored by, a cool high school kid is a lot of fun for them as well. And we really do have some great staff, and they do a great job of connecting with those kids.
Yeah. Well, Stacy, this has been great. What do you, you've been in Brandon for a while now. You've seen a lot of things, change. What's the one thing that you love about Brandon that hasn't changed over the years and that you just keep coming back to? And you love this. You're getting that season where you're going to be, kids are getting close to graduation.
Including mine.
I've got two kids that are just behind you. So that's, what is that? What would you say to somebody that's, in maybe an earlier season? What's great about Brandon? What do you love about being in?
Yeah, I love, like I mentioned right when we started off, I grew up in a small town, right? And you didn't turn around and not know somebody. And obviously Brandon has grown and it continues to grow and it will continue to grow and there will be more and more people coming into our community, but it still has that feel. I see people at church and at the ball game and at the grocery store and everywhere you go, somebody that, you can chat with and talk to, and there's definitely people watching out for you. I know everybody in town and what pet they have. If it seems like if someone loses a cat or a dog, I probably know who it belongs to. I mean, it's just we're a big community, but we're a small community, and that's really, really what I love about it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Stacy, this has been good. Are we missing anything? Is there anything coming up that we need to know about? I mean, in your world, the band season kind of starts in the fall, right? In late summer. Is there anything coming up this spring? Summer that we need to know about, big events, or?
I will give you one. Okay. So March 11th, from at 3:00, 3 to about 8 o'clock at Brandon Valley High School is going to be the South Dakota Percussion Showcase. So,
nice.
Yeah. So we have groups coming from Iowa, Minnesota, West River, South Dakota, all these different ensembles coming to perform at Brandon Valley High School. And you will also get to see the Brandon Valley Indoor Show this year, which, hint, hint, it's fantastic. So you're going to want to come see that. And then also you get to see all these other groups from the area. And like I said, we've got groups traveling 4 or 5 hours to come to Brandon Valley High School just to perform. So
awesome.
Highly recommend coming to that March 11th.
Awesome. Well, if we're going to have this, hopefully you get a chance to come out and see them and cheer on our fine arts. It's one of the best parts, I think, of our school.
Yeah,
is the fine arts and marching band and all the different teams. So
yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, and it's and it starts with the parents. Parents don't get enough credit. It's the kids, but it's the parents.
We have some amazing parents, and I would say, I love my band parents, but I would say in all the fine arts, the parents are very much involved and very supportive, and that's part of the reason that our fine arts has been so successful, plus the school district support too.
Yeah, and there's just, I just look at it. If your band has a semi-trailer, that's serious.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we were one of the first ones in the area to have one.
That's awesome. So, like in the off season, do you lease it out to help raise money? You're hauling cattle with it or anything?
No, we're not putting any cattle in there. Actually, we're gonna have, because our percussion group is so large this year, that we're using it this winter season as well. So it'll be hitting the road here in a couple weeks. Okay,
so we can't sublet it out for any other. Okay,
no, right. No cattle in the band semi. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks, Stacy, for joining us.
You bet.
Don't forget to like and share the podcast. And if you're friends with Stacy, if you know Stacy, make sure you tag her and share this. And let's make Stacy famous beyond the boundaries.
Yes.
Of Brandon. So.
Thanks so much for having me.
You bet. Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on the Love Your Neighbor podcast. The purpose of the Love Your Neighbor podcast is to build community one conversation at a time. You can help us build that community by sharing the podcast on your social media channels and rating our podcast on whatever platform you're listening from. Another way is to let us know of any neighbors who have a story. Go Lynx!